I flew to Portland under the guise of doing a review of Formula E for you guys to feed my motorsport brain rot.
That's it. That's my intro.
Hi, I'm Amanda. You're watching Swell Entertainment. I'm currently in Portland, and I still can't win in the sun department. How? I use sports sunscreen this time. I can't be this pale. This isn't blush. This is burn. How? Just on my cheekbones. I mean, it looks low-key kind of good, but also I'm like, how?
Also, hi, this was filmed on my iPhone. That's why it looks insane. We can't fix it. This is as good as we can get it, really.
Yes, I'm in Portland. I'm in Portland, Oregon for Formula E, okay? Now, Amanda, you're like, but you like Formula One. Yes, I have watched a couple of Formula E races, not all of them, and I realized that I have watched far less than I thought I had because I was very confused today. And just very confused in general. But Formula E is an all-electric motorsport open-wheel racing series. It's similar, but it's also not. There's consistencies because of racing, but that's really it. Anyways,
but really quick, let me tell you about the sponsor for today's video, Aura. I don't know what's going on, but I feel like the amount of scam calls that all of me and my friends have been getting have gone up exponentially. For me, it's always someone who's claiming that I have applied for a loan that I definitely have not applied for, and I get several calls from various phone numbers a day. And I know one of the reasons I get so many of these calls is that a lot of big companies can't keep your data safe. Not too long ago, Ticketmaster was hacked, and 560 million users' data and personal information was put up for sale on the dark web. Some of the information stolen includes full names, phone numbers, addresses, email addresses, credit card information, and more. Now, the best case scenario is more spam, but the worst case scenario is legitimate fraud. Ticketmaster's response to being hacked is that this would not have a material impact on their business. Or alerts me when my data has been involved in a data breach, gives me fraud alerts if anyone tries to access my credit card or bank accounts, and it removes any of my information from data broker websites so I get less spam. They also have transaction monitoring, a VPN, antivirus, a password manager, parental controls, and identity theft insurance. All in one app at one affordable price. Don't leave yourself vulnerable to data breaches. Go to aura.com/swell and get started on a 14-day free trial. And thank you again to Aura for sponsoring this video.
This weekend, they were in Portland, Oregon for their US GP. Initially, I was not going to come to this GP. I had considered it, but the reality is that the Formula E Grand Prix took place the same weekend as Vidcon. For those of you who don't know, Vidcon is like my industry's main event. I have been every year since 2017. So I was like, okay, you know what? That's my industry event. I'm going to prioritize that over Formula E. And then I was really annoyed with Vidcon and I was really devastated by Vidcon. And so I was like, screw it. Let's go to Portland. So I abandoned Vidcon. I dipped out, fled the state of California to come up north to Portland, Oregon. Formula E, like I said, I've seen a couple of races for Formula E. We've done a couple of watch-along streams on Twitch with them, but we usually only watch the races because it just doesn't really work out scheduling-wise, and then because I love Formula One. I made that decision Friday. This weekend was a doubleheader, which means that there were actually 2 race days. Unlike other racing series, most others, I shouldn't say all others because I'm not familiar with every type of open wheel racing or every racing series there is technically. They break up the schedule over a couple of days, okay, for a race weekend. Okay, like for example, F1, you've got free practice 1, free practice 2, typically on one day. Then you've got free practice 3, qualifying for the race, and then Sunday is race day, okay? Now, obviously, this gets shifted around if it's a sprint weekend, but we're not talking about that right now. For Formula E, everything happens in one day. You got free practice 3, you've got qualifying, you've got the race.
The Grandstand Plus, I did get Saturday and Sunday because originally I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to make it out for Saturday. My hope was I could. So it was $140 for both days. And that's 2 races, full days of racing. Qualifying is at 9:40, she just told me, and now we're gonna go walk a little bit more of the track and see what else there is.
Now also, this thing is weird because I wanted to book a seat or at least get access to a grandstand on the start-finish line. That's personally where I like to be. It's just one of the spots. I'll go anywhere on a track, but like I like to see that start. I like to see that finish. Break and go Burke. I tried booking that, and the website, the ticket website, showed that there were seats available, but like it wouldn't let me actually book the seats or book the seat. I don't know. Like it kept giving me an error message and be like, pick a different seat, but it wasn't even letting me pick a seat. It was like, oh yes, pick a section. Because I don't think these were reserved seats for the grandstands in this area. Long story short, I ended up just being like, okay, where can I get seats? And it was Grandstand Plus. So there were seats available in these grandstands. There were spaces available, but like it wasn't letting me actually book those spots. And then for the Grandstand Plus, it didn't let me book a specific seat. It just like assigned me a seat. So I don't know if there was ever any form of assigned seats that I could have picked from, but basically Grandstand Plus, which I was like, okay, I at least get an assigned seat. That's good. Okay. Especially after the Miami Grand Prix that I went to for F1, where I was just like a floater. I didn't really like that. It wasn't for me personally, unless I could be right on the track, which it's not conducive for a personal good racing experience for myself personally. So I was like, okay, this place, at least I have a space to sit. Grandstand Plus for a 2-day pass. Not sold out. I was like, okay, well, that's just part of the battle. Getting a ticket, that's just one thing. Last minute hotel, trying to get as close to the racetrack as possible. Okay, Portland International Raceway. Okay, I found one right next to the racetrack. Why was I able to get a room there? Tell me that this hotel should be booked up, for the record. And it should be even more easy to fill, okay? Because tell me why I come in last night, checking in, and I see quite a few people in team kits. I am currently staying at where I think they are putting a good chunk of the crews for these various teams for Formula E. And there were still rooms available. Why is this a bad sign? Well, it's a bad sign because then there's less rooms, because obviously that's probably a block of rooms, or at least the teams are booking that for their personnel. Shuttle driver for this hotel, that a lot of the hand-cooked tires people were staying here as well, okay? Because that's the official tire for Formula E. The number of available rooms that like I could book, much lower. And yet, not filled with fans the day before a race. Now you could say, well, Amanda, a lot of locals are going to this race. True. But like, this is your, unless I missed something, I think this is the only US stop for Formula E currently. At least the entirety of the Northwest should have converged here, sucked in to come see Formula E. No? Okay. I was able to take a shuttle from my hotel there, which was nice. Walk right up, go through bag check. They scanned my ticket a lot, which I do like.
So this is the Grandstand Plus entrance. This is where I'll be sitting. That is my grandstand over there. I didn't go check out my seat, but I had to check in, and then I got my Formula E Prix Grandstand Pass, and this comes with drink vouchers.
Now, something to note here. This is just, I don't know how, obviously this is just a Portland GP experience, I think. But if you got a drink in that grandstand, and then you walked your way to the fan zone, you could not bring that drink inside that fan zone because it was open. Fair, understandable. I had my water bottle with me, our refillable water bottle that I had already filled. They had me dump it out. And then a soda I had that I'd walked in that I had it closed originally when I walked in, but then on that long walk, I opened it up. They were like, you got to throw it out. So keep that in mind. They did have me empty literally everything every single time, which fair and safe. Okay. And they also checked my bag pretty much every single time. But this was the fast pass, which is nice.
All right, we'll check this again later after qualifying, because again, it is 9:37. It's an hour before qualifying. They did dump out my water and did take my soda, which I thought would be fine because they said we could bring coolers. My snacks I got to keep though, so that's good.
Fan zone, fairly spread out, fairly good options, I would say. The one thing I wanted randomly was ice cream that you guys did not have. You had a lot of shaved ice. I don't know why I wanted ice cream so bad. I was hoping for it. I didn't find it. It's fine. Nissan had a booth and Andretti had a booth. Those are two of the teams currently on the grid. The Nissan booth was advertising, obviously, their cars. They had a little sim racing, and it was like just to learn a little bit more about Nissan. But I filled out a survey, and I got the battery pack itself is in my black battery pack with the Nissan logo on it. That's like a MagSafe phone charger. For just a survey. I appreciate that. That's fun.
So far, I have not been able to identify a bathroom. Logically, I know they're here. Oh, they're there. Okay, cool. It's back here. Oh, RC cars. Big sitting area. That's good with some cover to it. That's good.
One thing that I have always been so curious about when watching Formula E cars make this high-pitched squealing sound. You'll hear the engine, and then you'll hear a squealing above that. They all do it. It is incredibly, incredibly annoying. I keep thinking I'm going to get used to it. I don't think I ever will. And I usually joke like, oh my gosh, because they're making that sound, we know for a fact these cars want to be free in the wild. They don't want to be going around a track. They want to roam the countryside, okay, clearly. But I wanted to investigate, truly. That's why I really wanted to come to see a Formula E race, okay? One, car go vroom, make Frank go burr. Any car. I'm sure I could see someone drag racing down an empty freeway. Empty being the key word if I catch you speeding. If you ruined my life because you wanted to joyride on a busy highway and you wanted to swerve and shit, I'm hunting you down. I wanted to know for a fact, okay, how bad the squealing is in person, because everyone does say it's worse on the broadcast than it is in person. And I will say that is true. I'm assuming because the mics are much louder, even the broadcast, when the cars weren't in front of us, like on the track while watching the race, as the cars were going around the track, obviously if they weren't in front of us, we could still hear the broadcast for the announcers trackside, explaining what's going on and commentating and all of that. The squeals that we could hear from that broadcast audio were, in my opinion, way worse than what we could hear when the cars were actually literally on the strip of track in front of us. I don't know if that's an audio issue or if it's just something that's like messing with the mics or something, or if they want that sound. I don't know. It's incredibly grating. But I found out from the Hankook booth, I still feel like I'm saying it wrong, how that happens, what that is. Okay, so basically, all electric cars, make some type of a squealing sound, okay? Now, how exactly? Don't ask me details. Hankook, who makes tires specifically for electric vehicles, and then also the tires specifically for Formula E, their tires have insulation around the inside. So they also have a thicker wall, like the actual wall of the tire. I'm explaining it poorly. But like the insulation is literally to help with sound absorption, to make it so that these cars don't squeal that loud. So commercial cars, yes, do make a squealing sound, but you don't hear it that much, okay? Because of the insulation in the tires, which is fascinating. I didn't know that. And so I was like, oh, obviously, like the rest of our group, like kind of moved along, but I was like, Formula E tires don't have insulation. How fast these cars go and the length of the tires and the way they are driving, it's my understanding that adding insulation would make it actually more dangerous and a higher risk for a fire hazard, I believe, for the tires to degrade faster because of the additional pressure of any form of insulation against that bit of the tire. I don't know if it's necessarily a fire risk, but I think it just would lead to potentially more degradation for the tires during these races. He also said, I didn't get his name, I'm sorry, that F1 cars also do make a squeal, but obviously it's not as loud because their engines are so loud. So you don't hear that squeal as much. You can kind of hear it a bit when they're on soft tires. I think he said softs or slicks. I'm very tired. You could hear it a little bit more before they get heat in the tires. The tires for Hankook as well as Formula E, I believe, are currently at 45% recycled material. They are trying to get to 100% recycled material for Formula E by 2025. And I was like, hey, I thought the issue with using recycled materials, the risk of impurities leading to, lack of integrity in the product, whether it's a foam case or a tire, okay, something that's holding up a moving vehicle, okay, is pretty high. How are you able to deal with that? He answered my questions to the best of his ability, but he was like, I don't know if they're at that point yet. Let's hope they are. If they're not, I'm sure they'll push the date. But right now, the goal for Formula E is 2025 for all recycled material tires. That would be very cool. Would be so interested to see how you guys are achieving that, because that is currently the issue with a lot of recycled materials, specifically recycled rubber and plastics for new products, okay? But when they are making tires, so nothing gets wasted, any of the tire bits that fall off onto the floor of the factory floor where they're working, they take that and they, repurpose it into soles of shoes or the middle plate of skateboard. So not like the skateboard top or bottom, but like the middle bit between the wood paneling. That's kind of cool. Walked around a bit more. They have a big stage, which is nice. They had some dancers perform that were local performers. They also had a live performance on the stage. And this is something we're going to talk about as well, as far as the issues with how they're choosing to market this sport. Because like I said, it's a bad sign that I was able to get last minute tickets to this. It's not even just that. You might be like, well, okay, well, man, not every event sells out, True. Bad sign when the announcers are like, Portland has come out in droves, and then they cut to a nearly empty grandstand during qualifying or at the start before the cars are getting on track. That's not good. I want to make it abundantly clear. Some of the clips you're going to see, it's me right when I got there, which is at the start of the morning. And then I tried to verbally timestamp so I could be like, oh, this is the time for this. This is the time for this. You could see the crowd change and all of that. I also heard from someone who worked ticketing as well. I was like, how was the attendance yesterday? And they were like, oh, well, I can't. They lock it, so I can't actually check the numbers right now. But I heard it was about 10,000 attendees that we scanned for the tickets. And then I believe the raceway capacity is 30K. Not fantastic frankly, to have that type of turnout for a live event, for a live racing event. I would love for anyone watching this, okay, whether you are a fan of me or you're an F1 or motorsport fan or maybe a fan of Formula E, if you have heard of Formula E before or watched Formula E, please tell me in the comment section, like the year that you started watching, when you first heard about it. If this is the first time you're hearing about it from me, please let me know, because I do think that that would be incredibly interesting to see the information for that. For this year in particular, for a lot of racing series, there have been one consistent misstep with the marketing for multiple series that aren't F1. They are marketing based off the fact that they aren't F1. And that, oh, look how many winners we have for our different rounds. Because it looked like at the start of 2023, for a brief glimmer in time, that Max Verstappen, current world champion for Formula One, was going to continue another year of dominance. For those of you that don't know, last year, 2023, Max won the back half of the season, aside from one single race where Carlos Sainz from Ferrari won. Some people find that incredibly boring. I like Carlos go fast, and also I like Max, so like no one's gonna be able to be like, oh, Max winning is bad. I saw IndyCar do the same thing, but Effie really leaned into it. The most marketable thing about your racing series is that it's not another series. We have a problem. I also don't think it's a good idea ever to market yourself by being like, look, we're better than this series because of X, you know, like with one specific thing, especially with something that is so easy to change in 2 races. By the Australian GP, someone else won a race. We've had 4 different winners that aren't Max this season. We're on round, 13, 12? I think we're halfway through the season, if that. It's like, yeah, Max is incredibly gifted as a driver. Of course, he's going to continue to do well. But I don't know why you would bank on that, because now other drivers are winning. Like drivers who have never won a race, drivers who, you know, haven't won a race since 2021. Formula E seems to be making a big push into motorsport content creators. Specifically, it seems like motorsport creators who were focused mainly on Formula One, who got popular making Formula One content on TikTok. Push is clearly for younger millennial / Gen Z audiences, predominantly Gen Z. The musical acts, that's the whole reason I went on this tangent, makes me think you're going after mainly Gen Z. I should be able, as a Gen Zer myself who likes motorsport, I should be able to name more than 4 or 5 of your drivers that are on the grid. I should know more than just team names. And that's, you know, a difficult thing to achieve, okay? Because like, obviously it's like, well, Swell, you're one person, understandable. But I feel like the thing with a lot of motorsport content that worked really well with F1, with Drive to Survive in particular, new fans got attached to the different personalities, whether that was team personnel, whether that was team principals, whether that was the drivers themselves and their families, etc. And you like seeing them as people as other than just like, you know, a photo on a team wall on a post of like, oh, P2. They saw another side of these drivers and felt connected to them. And then that was more fun to root for them because you feel connected to them. Now, how do you do that now when you don't have a TV show? Okay, well, individual marketing. Drivers that are, you know, a little more marketing themselves. You kind of gotta, you know, do a little bit more with your drivers and try and like show their personalities a little bit more so that fans can feel connected to them. There's tons of fans, you know, who just saw a stupid little meme image of someone on the Formula One grid and then they become a huge motorsport fan and they may not even like that driver anymore, but they found a new driver that they like. But it's literally something as simple as that, of like a little silly little meme, a little silly little edit, something that's like, wait a minute, I kind of want to check out this sport. And before anyone says, oh, you just want to care because the drivers are hot, not even talking about that. Can someone be funny? Can someone be a diva? Can someone be dramatic and messy? Anything. Show me a personality trait other than really good at driving fast or really good at driving into a wall. Show me an actual personality trait of them outside of the car so that then I can get excited about seeing how they are like inside the car. Okay, I think that is an incredible marketing tool. I hope one of you team people listen to me. Gen Z likes having someone to root for, whether it's an underdog or, you know, the hydrogen bomb that's bullying the rest of the grid, a la Max Verstappen. They want to see a rivalry of like 2 greats going at it. It's hard to see a fight if we don't know who we're rooting for, okay? It's just like, oh, the orange car and the black and silver car are like gonna knock each other out. But I do think Formula E is really trying to make a marketing push into Gen Z. If not Formula E, then at least the Portland GP was. Why? Your musical act choices. Jaden and Natalie Jane, which I thought was very interesting because in my brain I was like, oh, TikTok artists. They both make music. They both have made music outside of TikTok, but that's how they popped into my brain. And then sure enough, I was not here yesterday, but I was told that Jaden yesterday also made a reference to TikTok, or someone else had. But today, Natalie, I keep wanting to say Natalia. Natalie herself said, I got a lot of views singing this on TikTok or something like that before she introduced one of the covers of a song that she was going to sing. That in particular tells me that that's like a little, like a locator beacon for Gen Z. Okay, like, look, we're hip and cool. Which, yes, in theory, you have an all-electric racing series. That's pretty cool. There's no fuel. It's just energy levels, and you only get the certain amount of energy levels. You also get power boosts to like go. You guys need to be you guys are doing this wrong. You need to be framing it like a video game. I said the phrase power boost, and I was like, oh my god, brain blast. You guys need to be framing this like it's a fucking video game. Don't go after Gen Z. Don't go after the influencer baddies. You need to be going after the gamers. Oh my god, I just cracked this open for you. Oh my god, wait, I'm literally gonna make up a pitch deck right fucking now. Twitch streamers, gamers, okay, come on in and make gaming related tangential content to Formula E. Market it like it's a video game, okay? These drivers, yes, they are putting their lives on the line because when you get into these cars, you can get hurt. These crashes in Formula E are actually genuinely scary. I think because these cars can take more of a beating. F1 cars fracture. They shatter in certain sections when they get hit. These cars, chunks will fly off and they can technically still continue a race, but it can definitely damage a race. But then it seems like their crashes, I don't know if it's just like the aerodynamics of these cars and how different they are, but I feel like when there is a crash in Formula E, it's like, whew, it's very hairy to watch, you know? There's air caught and things like that. Just an interesting push I think you guys are figuring out. And it's like, oh, well, why do they want to go after Gen Z? Because that's how you survive. You can't just go after like, you know, older generations because eventually they pass away. The reality is that Gen Z and millennials as a generation are a generation that love to put money into the things that they love. Look at me finding ways to make money and, you know, justify going to expensive motorsport races. Not that this one was expensive. This was very reasonable. There's a reason F2 drivers and F3 drivers have fan accounts. Yes, aiming younger is the move, but I don't think you know how to make that move. And these cars are cool, but like the sound is annoying. Let's talk about qualifying because I don't know what I assumed. I realized I'd never watched qualifying for you guys. Do you need to make it this complicated? For Formula One, okay, you have Q1, Q2, and Q3 all in qualifying. You want to get fast enough to get you to the next round because qualifying sets your spot in the starting grid for the race itself. So in Q1, slowest 5 drivers at that time get knocked out. They are now removed from qualifying. Q2, after that, another set amount of time, the 5 slowest drivers removed from qualifying. Q3, the remaining drivers set the starting grid. So your format, I was very confused by. Formula E's qualifying format allows the best teams and drivers to showcase their speed and skill, but maintains the possibility of any driver step up, pull a lap out of the bag, and fire themselves up the starting grid. The group stage sees 2 groups of 11 drivers, 22 drivers on the grid, ordered based on their Drivers' World Championship position, battling at 300 kilowatts to set lap times each in a 10-minute session, with the fastest 4 from each progressing into the duels stage and the quarterfinals. The 2 winners from each group then compete against one another head-to-head in a knockout at 350 kilowatts over the last 8 into the semifinals. Then the eventual quickest from each group face off in the final duel. The winning driver of the final duel takes Julius Baer pole position while the runner-up lines up second. The semifinalists will line up 3rd and 4th, the quarterfinalists between 5th and 8th, according to their lap times. How do I watch Formula E anymore? Because like I watched it originally on the Roku channel. I don't know if that's doing it. I sometimes see you guys streaming on TikTok, which again, TikTok is a huge marketing platform, so I get it. It's fine. Like I was there watching this and I was confused. And I love motorsport already. And then also these races are very short. I believe this was 26 laps today. And then if there's a safety car, they can add laps. So there was 1 added lap today. And it's like all in one day, which is cool. But like that's a big commitment for like a fan. Like my entire day. Like to come to a race and come to like a racing day and come to a track, that's one thing for a whole day. To spend all of my time of a day at home watching a stream or watching that throughout my weekend, that's a lot of time commitment, you know, like that. It just is. There are fans that will do that, but I just think that to do it all in one day is both very cool, but also very tedious in a sense, which is like why you have people like me who have like really only watched the races, you know, versus watching a practice or a qualifying or anything like that.
10 minutes to qualify. You can start making the trek back to Grandstand Plus. It is on the far end, but I'll be passing the track the entire time, so I shouldn't miss much.
But yeah, okay, the race. So qualifying, like I said, I wasn't sure. I finished the qualifying from where I was, went and walked around, apparently got sunburnt. There's a motorsport creator, I believe mainly on Instagram, who goes by the name F1 Femme, has done work with like Aaron McLaren for IndyCar and all that, and she was here with Formula E this weekend. She was doing F1 Femme and Pride meetup for Pride Month. Fantastic. Your girl's bi. I was like, cool. I'll go find this. Tell me why I could not find this meetup. I don't know if it happened, okay? Before anyone's like, oh, it was just like a fan meetup. No, this was on the official Formula E schedule for the day. Like they were like advertising it on the graphics throughout the stadium, the raceway. The website said the forest. I went to the forest where they had like food trucks and stuff. I could not find this meetup. I did find a little thing where they had a little Pride like thing set up. I got a photo. You can't see it because sun, but that's me in the little Pride. The Pride thing. That's fun. I think I smushed it. Could not find that. So if that happened, I don't know what happened. They had a local print shop. I have their card somewhere. Doing literal on-site prints for the Portland Prix. That's really cool. I'm going to frame this. This is nice. Then it was race time. Okay. And like I said, 26 laps. I think it was 26 laps with the additional laps. So 27 in total. Where we were was along the straight. And it was where a couple of people had been, getting some runoffs and some driving off into the dirt. I think this is a really cool track. I wish I could have walked more of it. I walked down as far as I could. I don't think you're able to walk the entire length of the track, as from what I could tell. There was a track walk that I could have paid for. Like I said, I was sold out when I went. But before this, I ended up talking to my viewer again that I had met earlier. And she told me that they had been doing a couple of giveaways that were like photo giveaways where you like tweet out your like photo or something like that. And one of them was to get a meet and greet with the Team Penske drivers, I believe. And they kept just like saying it over the announcers. And I had heard that and I was like, God, if you can't hear this, like if you're not in a spot with the track or if you're in the bathroom or something, like if you can't hear that, you're going to miss your opportunity to get something. So sure enough, she is able to go over there and they had a no-show for the time slot. Someone didn't show up for their winning ticket thing. And so she just got to go and do the meet and greet and meet the Team Penske drivers. I believe it was Team Penske. I think. I could be wrong. Great. Fantastic for her. Great. She got an autograph. Fantastic. Cool. There's got to be a better way to do that. Maybe give a little more leeway time for the announcements. Have it flash on the screen like, hey, come to this spot versus just doing announcements. I don't know, something. Good race. Lots of DNFs. Both Neo McLaren drivers DNF'd. So I'm not your guys' good luck charm. Sorry. So the winner was Antonio Felix da Costa from Tag Heuer Porsche. His Twitter says he's a racing driver entrepreneur. I don't know why that's funny to me. I'm not opposed to it. I just think it's funny. But he won. It's his third win in a row. So he won both of the Portland races and then won last round as well. All in all, good race. There was a whole part where like there was a contact and debris flew up in front of us and then that ruined another driver's race. Oh, side note, I was told, the viewer I met, I also met her parents because she was at the race with her parents. Her mom specifically, she said that I should tell you guys that the announcers were not good and that they were having trouble coming up with interesting things to say or being entertaining. The request was that ideally you would have people who are witty, but if not, at the very least, entertaining. Her recommendation was getting a comedian. I mean, if nothing's happening in a race, it's kind of hard to like commentate on that. But also, I do get it, because it's like, oh, if he wants to win, he's got to go faster. Things like that. You don't say, obviously. The race results, top three, we had Mitch Evans from Jaguar, Robin Frins from Envision, and then Da Costa from Tag Heuer. Yeah, so the drivers that DNF'd were both Mahindras and both Neo McLaren. On F1 for the podiums, there's usually a track invasion. Aside from Vegas, they did not do a track invasion because Vegas. Here, instead, they bring the drivers to the main stage and they had the drivers kind of waiting under where the broadcast cameras were, okay? And they had them make an aisle. And then as their names were called, they would run down the aisle through the fans to the stage, which I thought was fun. That's kind of like a fun little rock star moment. I don't know. Why haven't I seen those clips before? I didn't know you guys did that. Is that just with Portland GP? Because if that's the whole thing, I need rock star edits for that. That's what I need the admin team to get on. Trying to help you guys with marketing here. The energy was great. You know, it's like, this is where a lot of people did leave right after the race, obviously, but a lot of people came to this area and it was fairly crowded. So this was probably the most congregation of fans that I'd seen for the whole day. So that's really cool. All in all, that was that. And then I just took my little happy ass to the shuttle location. Would I do another Formula E race? Yes. I don't think I can do another one this season. They're doing London next. The overall experience of being at the track, there's a lot to do at track, which is nice. There was a lot to wander and things to do. I don't know how much that is dependent on this being the Portland GP, obviously, but I did like a variety of the fact that like there were things that were very clearly like, this is Formula E branded, like the forest, and I don't know if I think the forest is obviously contingent on the location. I would love to see what your guys' attendance is at other races. I've talked about this with even with YouTube boxing events I've been to, like for Misfits boxing, okay, they could not sell out their Tennessee fight, but then I know all of their UK fights sell out so far in advance, it's crazy, okay? So the US may just not be your audience. I don't know how to exactly fix that, but it sounds like maybe you want to. I don't know. Anyways, have you watched Formula E? Have you ever heard of Formula E? Like I said, if you had heard of Formula E prior to this video, if you heard from this video, please let me know. Comment down below. Reminder, I stream on Twitch. Reminder that Swell Entertainment is now available on Spotify. Reminder to use code SWELL for 10% off on gamer subs. Shout out to my patrons. Thank you so much for supporting my Patreon. Also, for my Patreon, link is down below. Links on social media. We help here, and that's going to have a lovely day. Goodbye. I'm not even kidding, like literally advertising like a race weekend like it's a video game. Like in the game of life, it's best to play it fast and clean, you know? And then you think it's going to be like Ubisoft, Formula E, but instead it's just Formula E, Portland GP, you know?
Thank you, Oz, Eva, Ayana, Abby, Angel, Goth, Glenn, Palace, Pink, Jasmine, Lauren, Amy, Aslan, Medic, Rosie, Victor, Andrew, Tenzin, Sam, Mae West, Michael, Ryan, Adira, Nathan, Zwink, Literal, Jeffrey, Randy, QWERTY, Nomad, Thomas, Tasha, Donnie, Winter, Kenny, Robert, Cameron, Elliott.